To everyone heading for Almagest, prepare for an experience unlike anything before.
Finally, Space Engineers 2 is confirmed as the new game that Keen Software House are working on. Yes, this is not one of those clickbait videos you've probably seen around the internet for the last 2 years, but in fact, real confirmation from the developer that the sequel game has been in development and appears to be coming very soon. Big new features in this game, including the much loved community mod of the paint gun. We've seen some big reveals in today's new video, which we just have to talk about. But let's not waste any time, here is the new trailer. Stick around for a breakdown of what some of these features mean and more information on when we can expect to play this game very soon.
Here in Concordia Research Facility, we've mastered the 25-centimeter grid system, pushing engineering to its absolute limits. Our new creative tools flow like thought itself. Blueprint snapping, partial copying, instant undoing of mistakes. Made these powerful tools intuitive enough for anyone to grasp, yet sophisticated enough to build wonders. To everyone heading for Almagest, prepare for an experience unlike anything before.
Hey everyone, I'm Captain Jack and welcome to my channel. I've been covering Space Engineers for well over 10 years, and it looks like we're about to get started on another 10 years of Space Engineers 2. Join me in this venture by hitting that subscribe button and let me know, what are you most excited for about this new game? Comment your thoughts below. Okay, let's waste no time. Like the previous teaser of the Bearing project, we have the AI voice back again. On-screen information informs us we're looking at the Concordia Research Facility, specifically the Module Engineering Division. More lore tells us this was founded by Dante Appian. It seems this location is the frontier development of a 25cm grid system. This teaser is focused around more examples of what you can do building wise in Space Engineers 2. You know, it actually feels nice to actually call it Space Engineers 2 now, and we all knew where it would be going based off recent teasers, but let's be honest, no one really knew this was happening a while back and it was just development footage. Anyway, our first shot shows the new blue space engineer overlooking a platform. In the left, we can see what appears to be a blue fighter craft. I think if we zoom in closely, you can see a Gatling gun, as we spotted it is the same model from the previous Bearing project teaser. However, we've also got a blue team ships flying around and a red ship docking to the platform. This is the same big red ship seen in the first new teaser for Space Engineers 2. If you really zoom and enhance into the background, you can see another green team base on the far asteroid. Drill ships are also moving around as the engineers appear to be working on things. There is an excellent shot of the blue engineer standing inside this space corridor as a big red ship flies overhead. It gives us a nice example of window blocks in Space Engineers 2. I know when they originally added to Space Engineers, windows are somewhat controversial because they were dirty all the time. Anyway, another shot of the bridge area follows this. We can see colony ships from the Bearing project teaser flying overhead. There are 2 of these now moving around the area. Back into the command area, this appears to showcase the new control helm block, which looks really fancy, as well as button panels, which have a very nice upgrade. As the trailer progresses, we can see engineers running around and placing some blocks. The AI voiceover, which is slightly jarring here, informs us that engineers have mastered the 25cm grid building system. If you don't know what this is, don't worry, we've explained it a few times, I will recap it again at the end of this video, but the trailer does do a good job of explaining it well, and we'll go over that anyway. A couple of examples flash on screen as we're told the 25cm grid system pushes engineering to its absolute limits. This shot of a blue engineer running down a corridor shows examples of this new grid building system. If we stop and look, you can see normal sized block making up the floor, but the walls are actually made up of smaller blocks and barriers, and they're sort of placed to create handles along the wall in a way. Some of you long-time players will remember the concept of compound blocks. It was envisioned in Keen's previous game of Medieval Engineers, and we all wanted it in Space Engineers. It never happened. Space Engineers 2, on the other hand, seems to be taking advantage of this. Let's expand more. As we can see, the engineer stops and cuts out part of the wall. Using click and drag with the 25cm detailing slope, which is 0.25 meters as a detailing slope, players will be able to remove the blocks as we typically can in Space Engineers. Creative mode to be specific. But here, it's used to greater advantage. If we stop on this section, we can actually zoom in and see the two block differences explained. The character is placing a 0.25 meter detailing slope. They are placing it onto a 0.5 meter light armor cube. Do you see the difference here? This here perfectly explains the 25cm grid system in action. Yes, you can place blocks on each other. As the video continues, there is now a 2.5 meter sliding door being placed into the corridor. You can see the engineer now scrolling through blocks and sizes to fill in the gaps around the door. Interestingly, as the trailer tells us, there is an undo/redo system in game. I would presume this only applies to creative mode for Space Engineers 2 and probably not survivor mode when we see that. As we can see, using the undo system, the engineer now can return the entire wall section to how it was before they started putting the door into the wall. Then if you change your mind, you can simply redo it all again. I really like this. Let's be honest, we've all been building in Space Engineers and accidentally placed blocks or changed something and not liked it. Now you can just simply return it to how it was. What do you think of a system change? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, I really dig it. Another example of more wall detailing is shown. This time, making some sort of beam system on a bigger wall face. Again, we can see the light armor cube, which is what the blocks are being placed onto, is 2.5 meters in size, while the player is placing the 0.25 meter detailing slope to create this beam pattern shape. It's worth pointing out this information box above the toolbar gives you the information we just said, also about PCU count as well. Also key bindings shown, left mouse button for placing blocks, kind of self-explanatory there. Right mouse button removes them, kind of telling us this is in creative mode. R changes the size of the block. T toggles the symmetry mode. J seems to start a new grid, while control is for precision. There's also the option for a partial copy. This is what is demonstrated next, and it's actually a really cool feature. If we think of copy and paste in Space Engineers 1, that only copies and pastes the whole grid. So I would have to separate, say, an engine if I want to copy just the engine and not the entire ship. This new partial copy system solves that. The engineer simply uses the QWEASD keys and mouse wheel to change the selection area, and bam, you've copied that section and the beam pattern onto the armor plating. You can place it wherever you want. I actually love this system. It means if you're going to be doing more greebling on your ships, you can now fully take advantage of this, and I love it. A big feature which some may miss is the new block painting. As I mentioned, paint gun. We can see the blue engineer painting the blocks, which make it the name of the colony starship from a previous teaser trailer for Space Engineers 2. This engineer appears to be using some sort of paint gun. The paint gun is actually an iconic mod from Space Engineers, which many prefer to use because of how accurate it is compared to the vanilla painting in Space Engineers. Named the paint tool, as to not confuse it with a paint gun I suppose, we can see there are key bindings for replacing the colour, painting block, painting everything, and picking a colour as well. Currently, it seems Space Engineers 2 will have some sort of destruction tool. This is named the debug gun tool, and it's like a mini super laser. The trailer shows us engines and other blocks being destroyed and the return of PCU to the player as they do so. Sadly, this section is quick in the trailer, but highlights the new damaged graphics and systems for Space Engineers 2. We have seen developers talk about this work for the VRage3 game engine. We can see the blocks split apart and shatter when broken. They're no longer just catching on fire and vanishing once destroyed. This could possibly change combat really well in Space Engineers. Imagine your entire armor coating shatters away, revealing a bridge. I'm a big fan of this, but it will need some experimentation to work out how it plays in Space Engineers 2. One of my favourite shots in this teaser is a debug tool being used on a solar panel and it's breaking off. There is a discussion to be had about the damage values and how you go about replacing this. Currently, we are seeing just the debug tool and paint gun. I'm not seeing a focus on grinding and welding up blocks in these teaser trailers, so maybe this is not included in creative mode. I've already seen some of the community suggesting that this debug tool means lasers will be in Space Engineers 2. We don't have any confirmation on that, so don't get your hopes up just yet. It simply seems to be a debug tool made for testing at destruction in a game. One weapon type we do know is the Gatling gun, and it kind of appears on the front of a small fighter craft we saw in the previous teaser, and you can sort of see it in this one. As the voiceover states, it seems these tools have been made to be both powerful and intuitive enough for anyone to be able to grasp them. Yet these tools are also sophisticated enough for anyone to build wonders, and let's be honest, we've seen people build wonders in Space Engineers. So I'm excited to see what people do, or rather you watching this video, what you can do in Space Engineers 2. I hope this is the game developers informing the community that it'll be an easy way to join Space Engineers 2 and pick up the game. Something I've heard before from a lot of people is how the game can be difficult to approach and actually learn and play. Not everybody can learn it and play it as quickly as we can. It took many of us quite a while, and some still aren't that good at building, so, and yes, I am talking about myself. And finally, the shot reveals the official Space Engineers 2 logo we saw this video's start. Yes, we were right. The two Space Engineers did mean Space Engineers 2. Imagine my shock at that one. Of course, as players, we have a lot of questions. Hopefully there might be answers in the official Space Engineers reveal stream on Thursday, December 19th at 6 PM UTC. In a press email sent out, Keen have confirmed that more details, including the early access launch date for Space Engineers 2, will be confirmed and revealed in this game reveal stream next week. Very exciting. Don't worry if you can't make it to that stream, I'll have a news roundup following that, so you'll be fine. Just make sure to hit that subscribe button and you can keep up to date on the exciting new video game adventure. Speaking of a press kit, there are some interesting bits of information within it. We've got a full banner of Space Engineers 2. This showcases some more blocks. I can make out a gyroscope, which appears to have had a big redesign and is now encased in a block, much like the Prototech blocks from the latest SE1 update. There's also both a refinery and an assembler. A medical bay, or what I presume to be one, can be seen towards the back corner. That appears to have been redesigned as well, and now have some more enclosed space. Interestingly, you can spot the smoke rising out of the floor. Now either this is an effect block, like we have in Space Engineers 1, or it's just something damaged and on fire below the platform. There's also a block under the gyroscope, which is likely the programming block. There's also some sort of curved block above the refinery and assembler. I can't actually make out what this is. Could it be a big drill? Who knows? What do you think it is? Could be a hydrogen tank on hindsight. This press kit also includes some concept artwork, which I'll put on screen now. The first shows engineers in the new suits walking down a ship corridor. The second shows engineers armed with weapons taking on assault drones. These kind of look menacing, but maybe this tells us more about the narrative adventures we will encounter in Space Engineers 2. Another concept artwork shows Outpost Alpha, which features Space Engineers setting up a planet-side base. You can sort of see tree-like objects in the background. Finally, there's a bit of artwork that showcases a huge atmospheric thruster. There was also mention of Tintin, which appears to be related to the concept artwork, perhaps a codename for Space Engineers 2. Much like movies and TV series, games typically have codenames to avoid leaks before things are made public. Let me know what you think of this concept artwork down below. It's kind of interesting we're seeing an atmospheric thruster already. This trailer is super impressive, and so is the reveal of Space Engineers 2. I'm thinking about all the possibilities of what could be included in the game. However, thoughts come to mind on when we will get this game. What will multiplayer be like? What will survival be like? Currently it seems the trailers are very focused on creative mode building. Perhaps we're going to see a lot of that focus to begin with. Notably planets are absent, and it's just asteroids and space stations right now. I don't mind this approach to development, if Keen are going to pursue the early access route again. Providing there's some sort of transparent roadmap and everyone knows what is happening, I think the community will be on board with that. I bought Space Engineers during the early access phase, and while it was rough, there were both good times and bad times, but ultimately, we got a good game out of it. One of the big questions many of you will have is what will happen to Space Engineers 1? Will the game die, or will we see it continue to be supported for the next few years? I think if Space Engineers 2 will operate in early access development mode, it will likely see that more people simply playing Space Engineers, especially if game critical features like multiplayer, planets and survival are not in SE2 when it comes out for players to get involved with. That's another point. The sequel game really has to include a lot of the content from the first game in my opinion. We've spent years purchasing DLC blocks to get new blocks in Space Engineers, like Prototech and the Signum DLC, or the Industrial DLCs. So if we never have those blocks in the next game, I think that's going to go down badly for some people. Now let's talk about the 25cm grid system. The next part of this video will simply recap and expand on what we've seen before. So if you are entirely up to date on everything, I ask you hit that like and subscribe button and you may depart if you wish. However, if you're not up to date on what this new building system is, keep watching. Let's crack on. Okay, let's talk about the 25cm grid system, as I know some of you are not up to date on this. If you are, then you already know. We previously discussed the 2.5cm grid system or the 25cm grid system, but I'll keep this simple for new people. In V-Rage 3, Keen have been developing a new unified grid system for the game engine, which can combine any block size on the same grid. The grid has a 25cm, which is around 10 inches granularity, and block sizes spanning from 25cm through to 0.5 meters, 2.5 meters, and on, with no upper bound. Block shapes are handled with the same 25cm precision. For instance, a 2.5 meter slope only occupies half of the cubic space, leaving the other half available for further construction. The system adjusts snapping automatically based on the block size you choose, but you can manually fine-tune connections with the same 25cm granularity. To make rotations easier, when you hold the control key, rotation hints will appear on the block's position. You can also rotate using the WSAQD keys while holding control. They've also added visual cues to help align blocks and show you which cells are occupied or preventing placement, all within the 25cm accuracy. The new render material system supports parallax mapping. This will add texture depth and generate subtle rounded bevels on armor edges, also between blocks of different colours. Popular features from Space Engineers like line and wall building, copy and paste, and the ability to attach pasted blueprints to existing grids have all been retained from Space Engineers into this new V-Rage 3 game. Kinda cool. Well, that's all the information I have for you today. Naturally, we'll be talking more about Space Engineers 2 going forward, now that you can call it what it actually is and it's confirmed. Of course, as mentioned, there are a lot of questions and hopefully we can get a lot of them answered in the reveal stream on December 19th. Keen are cutting it close before the Christmas break, so I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about. Okay everyone, that's it from me for now. If you have any questions or concerns, comment them down below and let's talk about it. Hit that subscribe and like button, and I'll see you in the next video.